Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Today, me and my cat are going to share with you the 4 things that you need to do to legally protect your online business. You ready? Well, let's do this. Hey gang, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, my name is Jim and I am a trademark lawyer and a YouTube entrepreneur. And on this channel, we explore the practical tips, tools, and strategies that you need to be aware of to legally start, build, and grow, and of course, legally protect your own online business. And today I've got my cat on the lap who seems to be very loving today. I've also got a baby screaming next door, so hopefully that won't interrupt anything here. I think they're trying to put her to sleep or him to sleep, and it's not going so well for them. Apartment living in Portugal, what are you gonna do? Oh, we got the planes over there, but I don't think you can hear those. Now, I forgot to mention, the reason we do all this on this channel is because I'm hoping that you can enjoy more freedom in your life, more freedom, financial freedom, time freedom, and of course, location independence, that you can live where you want, when you want, and how you want. I'm not gonna lie, I don't miss those days when I had to put my kids to sleep and they just screamed and screamed and screamed and then screamed some more. And anyone who's had a kid who has had a hard time getting them to sleep can certainly appreciate what I'm saying when I say I do not miss those days. So anyway, today I want to share with you the 4 things that you need to do or need to be thinking about to make sure that your business is 100% completely locked down and legally protected. And this is important because I want you to have a business that allows you to sleep easy at night, knowing that you never need to worry about getting a cease and desist letter, knowing you never need to worry about having to rebrand your business at quite expensive sum, I might add, knowing that you're never going to need to worry about whether or not you're going to get sued or whether your business is going to get sued, knowing that you are never going to need to worry about potentially even declaring bankruptcy because of something related to your business. And make sure you stick with me here today until the very end, because I'm going to share with you which of these 4 strategies is what you need to be doing first. And chances are, if you've been watching my channel for a while, it's not going to be what you think. Now, the first strategy we're going to talk about, and mind you, these are in no particular order, is to make sure that you separate yourself from your business. And the way you're going to do that is by setting up an LLC. You knew that was coming, right? That's got to be the first thing I talk about. Not going to say that's the most important thing, but that's definitely the first thing I'm going to talk about today. And LLCs are important because they separate you from your business. And I talk to a lot of online entrepreneurs who are just getting started and they're wondering if they should set up an LLC, and they wonder why it's important. And the reason why I feel LLCs are so important is because when my clients set up that LLC for the first time, there's really this mental shift that goes on in their brains, which takes them from operating what I would call a hobby business to a legitimate business now, because they have a separate entity now that they're taking care of. They have a separate entity that's making its own money, that's paying its own bills, and it's really kind of a magical thing to see an entrepreneur go through this, whereas before they just were commingling everything with their own personal assets and expenses and income, and now all of a sudden they've got this business that stands on its own. And that's one of the main reasons why LLCs are important. Another huge benefit for LLCs is obviously the liability protection. And we're not just talking about LLCs protecting you from the debts of your business. LLCs can also protect your business from your own personal debts and issues. So if someone were to sue you and you have an LLC, the best they can do is they can get what's called a charging order, and that the way those work is different in every state. Compare that to, let's say you're a sole proprietor, and if you're a sole proprietor, if someone sues your business, they're also suing you, so there is no liability protection. And even if you're a corporation, if somebody sued you personally and one of your assets is the shares of that corporation, then they can literally do what's called coming in the back door and collecting all the shares of your corporation, and now as 100% shareholder of your corporation, they can sell off all your business assets and shut your business down to satisfy your debts. So for that reason, LLCs are a great vehicle. They're something I recommend to everyone who is just starting out in online business. And so that's the first thing I wanted to start with today is sharing with you that you need to get that legal foundation order. You need to get that legal separation between you and your business, and you do that by setting up your LLC. The second thing you need to do is you need to claim your name. I know a lot of you are going to be like, what do you mean claim my name? I picked a name, I've got a name. That sounds good, right? I mean, that's all I need to do. And no, that's not it. That's not the way it works. So did you know that you actually do not own the rights to your name when you're just starting out in business and you haven't done anything else? That's right, you do not own the rights to your name. Anyone can come in and use your name. You know, you may have some common law trademark rights to that name, but that doesn't go very far. If you're working in, let's say, Florida, and somebody else decides to pick the same name as you and they've got a business in California, those common law rights are only going to extend to your own geographic region where you live and where you work and where your customers are. So if you're starting a business and you want to have national rights to the name of that business, then you really need to do what we call filing federal trademark application. And by filing a trademark application, that doesn't necessarily, you're not trademarking your brand, but you are claiming the legal rights to your name on a federal level, which means that you have exclusive rights to use that name in all 50 states, and nobody else can use that name who's selling similar services or goods to what you are selling. So that's what it means to get trademarked. It's actually you're filing for federal protection so that nobody else can use your name, and it sets you apart from everybody else who might be selling goods and services in the same industry that you are in. Now, the problem with filing a federal trademark application is the process can be tricky. It takes a long time, and if you mess it up, you're not going to know for probably 8 or 9 months until your application gets reviewed by a trademark attorney. And what I find is a lot of people that try and do these trademark applications on their own, they end up messing something up, and then they just abandon the application. I actually am working with a client right now who did that exact thing. They filed for trademark protection back in 2017 or 2018 for their name, and they just abandoned it because they just were like, I don't really know what the benefit is to doing this, so they just let it go. And now I'm helping them now in 2022 go through that process again. So trademarks are tricky. The application itself is done online. It's deceptively easy. It doesn't seem like there's not that much to it, but there actually is a lot going on behind the scenes. You need to make sure you do it correctly. You need to make sure you describe your goods and services correctly, and you need to make sure that you use the right specimen in your application. So there's a lot of things that go into the application. If you have questions about that, I highly recommend you reach out. I'll include a link down below. You can schedule a free branding and strategy call with me, and we can talk about what it might mean to file for trademark protection of your name and actually claim the legal rights to your name so nobody else can use it. All right, so the third thing that you need to do is you need to make sure that you're also protecting your relationships. And the easiest and best way to protect your relationships is with, go ahead, say it with me, I know you know, contracts. That's right, contracts. So contracts are a way to establish the rules of your relationships with your vendors, with your clients, with partners that you're doing business with anybody else that you might have a business relationship with. The contract is the way you're going to set down what the rules of that relationship are. So anytime somebody hires my firm to work with me, I have them sign or contract or at least accept the terms of the relationship when they check out on our checkout page. So it's really important that you have solid contracts in place to protect your relationship. If you don't, then you run the risk of getting chargebacks, you run the risk of having people ask for their money back and there's nothing you can do about it. You run the risk of all sorts of bad things happening if you don't have contracts in place. The other thing I should say about contracts is you can outline who owns the intellectual property that is created in your business, and you can do that with contracts. So if you're working with an independent contractor that might be creating videos for you or graphics or things like that, your contract is going to spell out who owns the rights to that intellectual property, and that's going to be very important. And I know a lot of this sounds really nitty-gritty and just like, it's like, come on, Jim, do I really need to worry about all this stuff? And yeah, you do need to worry about this stuff because it's not a problem until it's a problem. And what we're trying to do here in these 4 things that I want you to take care of when you're legally protecting your business is I want you to make sure that these things are never a problem for you and your business. And so that brings us to the last thing that you need to be aware of, and that is how to protect your content. And by content, I mean your blog posts, I mean the videos like this that you create, I mean your podcasts, I mean the graphics that you put on Instagram, the memes you might create, anything that you're creating in your business, the courses you're putting together, anything that you're creating in your business, the content that you're creating. You need to make sure you have a plan in place for how you're going to protect that. And typically that's going to be done by filing a copyright registration with the US Copyright Office. And unlike trademarks that we already talked about, this process is actually fairly straightforward. You fill out an application, you pay a fee, and you submit copies of the work that you want to make sure is registered. Now, people will ask, well, why is this necessary? I thought that by just writing the blog post, I already own the copyright to it. And yes, that is true. However, if you ever have an issue where you needed to sue somebody for copyright infringement or for stealing your personal things and your work, your artistic works, then you have to, as a prerequisite to doing that, you actually have to have a registration with the Copyright Office. That's number 1. Number 2, if you have that registration in place, you're entitled to what are called statutory damages, which means you don't have to go into court and prove your damages. You can just say, hey judge, the statutory damages for this is, X amount of money. That's how much I want you to order them to pay me. And so that oftentimes is going to be a better outcome than proving your actual damages. So that's why it's important to think about what your process is going to be for regularly copywriting the things that you put in your business. And so that's the 4th thing that I want you to think about today. So we talked about creating legal separation in your business, and you do that by filing LLCs. We talked about claiming the legal rights to your name and to your brand, and you do that by filing a federal trademark application. We talked about protecting your relationships, and you do that by making sure that you have contracts in place in your business. And then finally, we talked about how to protect your content, and you do that by registering. Such a shitty cat. And then finally, we talked about protecting your content, and you do that by filing copyrights with the US Copyright Office. So those are the 4 things that you need to be aware of. The most important thing that I would say to someone who is just getting started with their online business, what they should do before they do anything else, talk to a lawyer about registering their trademarks. And I know you probably thought I was going to say LLCs, or maybe even you thought I was going to say contracts. And again, I mentioned this earlier, but if you'd like to schedule a free strategy call with me, I'll put a link down below in the description so that you can reach out and schedule that call. In the meantime, I've done another video right here that talks about why trademarks and why claiming the rights to your trademark are so very, very important. So make sure you check that out. That's all I got for today, folks. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next video. Take care.